Hello, AP students. This is Mrs. Politsky, and I have notes for Chapter 6, Learning. And learning, for the most part, is a lasting change in behavior or mental processes that results from some type of experience. And it can be everything from, problems that we have to face or challenges that are imposed in our environments. So there are some differences. We're going to mention a few things about behavioral learning and cognitive learning, but the problem of observing mental events underlines a long-running controversy between behavioralists and the cognitive psychologist. Behavioralists have maintained that psychology would be a true science only if it disregarded mental processes and focused exclusively on objective, observable stimuli and responses. Cognitive psychologists have contended that the behavioral view is too limiting and that understanding and learning requires that we make inferences about the hidden mental processes. So, learning versus instincts. Nearly every human activity involves some form of learning. And without learning, we would have no human language. We'd have no memory for our past or goals for our future. Instinctive behavior is heavily influenced on our genetic programming, and instincts are at work when we look at bird migrations like the sandhill cranes or animal courting rituals. And then, when we talk about humans, basically nursing of infants. Humans, for the most part, are more influenced by learning and less by instincts. So there are simple and complex forms of learning. First is habituation, and this is learning not to respond to a repeated presentation of a stimulus. And typically this happens in animals, but it also happens in humans. If you've ever had your parent call you to come and do a chore and they keep calling your name and you keep spacing them off, that might be a form of habituation, or getting used to like a chime on your smartphone. And at first you notice it, but over a period of time, you just kind of ignore it. That's habituation. The other is the mere exposure effect. And humans have a preference for stimuli to which we have been previously exposed to, such as, the example, the mere exposure effect. And if you look down below, there is an illustration there of a scarecrow. So you have a problem with the crows, you put the scarecrow out, it scares the birds away, but over a period of time, they kind of get used to it. And at some point in time, they're just, yeah, they're not scared of it. So it's complex. Usually one involves learning a connection between two stimuli. A school child might associate 12 p.m. with the lunch bell. And the second occurs when we associate our actions with a rewarding or a punishing consequence, such as praise or a reprimand from a boss. So if you're talking about the beginning of maybe third block and you're associating it with going to lunch, that bell in itself might signal in yourself that it's time to go eat. Along the way, we've got to talk about behavioral learning. This is a form of learning such as classical conditioning and operant conditioning, which we're going to talk about here in a little while, that can be described in terms of stimulus and response. And the other is cognitive learning. This will consider, like I said, in flashes of insight or an imitative behavior that requires theories that go beyond behavioral learning. It's kind of like the watch and learn. So thank you very much.